have a conspiracy theory, by the way. Um,
Tell me, I love conspiracy
yes,
theories, like,
yes,
especially if they make me roll my eyes.
right. Okay, so I think that perhaps AI has taken over the Google algorithm, and even Google doesn't know what to do about it.
Okay, okay, okay. I don't think it's just Google.
You are listening to the We Are Not Safe for Work podcast. Your hosts, Renee and Nadja, will dive into all the different reasons why some entrepreneurs become unemployable.
Hello, Naja.
Hello, Renee.
So, who's a U.S. citizen? I am.
I am. And I'm so
So,
excited. Oh my gosh. Like, it's so stupid how excited I am about
it's
this
not.
one change
I think it's a
because
big deal.
like it is a big deal. And as a green card holder, like I can do everything a US citizen can do except for vote,
Yeah.
run for office,
Oh,
and serve on jury duty. Those are the
well,
things that I could not do as a permanent resident, but now as a U.S. citizen, I can do all those things. I don't plan on running for office, by the way, just to
I was just
clear
saying
that
now,
up
I hadn't
like
thought
right
about the
away.
office thing, but I could see that. That could be good, actually.
No,
City
no, no, no,
council, maybe.
no. Like zero desire. No thanks. Just
I understand that you may not have desire, but I may have future plans for you. We'll see. Um,
you make all my decisions for me.
okay. Um, that could be fun. No, really, I'm excited. I think it's going to be interesting the first time you get called to jury duty. People get so mad at jury duty.
I
Um,
know.
but I think
I'm so intrigued. Like when my husband gets called for jury duty, I'm always like, "Ooh, try to get like an interesting case." And he's like,
yeah,
"I'm trying to get out of it."
right. I know. I mean, um, I was on a case once. It was so funny. This guy was suing. He got in a car wreck. Two people got in a car wreck, and he was suing the person that he got in the car wreck with for all of these damages. And it
Okay.
was it was really, he was claiming to be severely injured.
Sure.
Well, the funny thing is, I saw him. I didn't know at the time who he was and that I was going to be on his jury trial, but I saw him pull up to the courtroom on his motorcycle because I thought his motorcycle looked really cool. But he was claiming that he couldn't walk very well. He needed a cane and he had all these health issues and he couldn't perform normal life anymore. And but I happened to see him pull up on his motorcycle, get off his motorcycle, grab his cane, and he started limping once he got into the building.
I
And it just caught my eye and I
oh
thought, well,
my
that's
god.
weird. Well, turns out I wasn't the only jury member that saw all of this.
Uh-huh.
And so he was claiming all of these damages to his body, and several people came up in the elevator with him. And so we all got to see how he really was versus how he pretended to be in the courtroom.
Oh my
And um, that was an interesting case. Didn't take us long, of course, to decide against him.
god. Wow.
Um,
Okay, but that just blows my mind that he's thinking it's appropriate to ride up to the courthouse in a motorcycle for what
Bodily
he's
harm.
yeah, for
Yeah.
bodily harm. Like, if anything, it's like, no, 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 you take it like all the way back. You take it
Yeah.
all the way back and you
And
have somebody drive you to the courthouse or whatever, like
yeah.
put some effort into it at least, right?
And I'm not saying you can't ride a motorcycle harmed. I know that, I used to have motorcycles. I understand you can have some bodily injury and still ride a motorcycle, but he was an extremely in the courtroom, barely could function, barely physically able to do anything at
Right.
all. And I saw him walk through the courthouse and then put his cane down to start using it once he got onto the floor of the
Oh
court.
my
I
gosh.
watched this with my own eyes and I was not the only person in the jury. So, most important lesson is make sure if you are going to court that you play the part before you get there. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah. So jury duty is interesting and sometimes can be really worth your time. And it's
Yeah.
also a really important civic duty. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. I have my I am registered to vote sticker and that's
Yeah.
instead of that just being like a one-time wear thing, it's going to go on like my water bottle or on my laptop, something really obnoxious.
Yes, yes, I think it should. I like the idea of the water bottle because you'll carry it around with you everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And my
totally.
laptop too, because my laptop is basically my walking billboard.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Yeah, because I'll go into like Starbucks or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and open my laptop, and on the back of my case is all of my stickers, and people always look. It doesn't
Of course.
matter.
I mean, that's what they're there for, to look at.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And sometimes they'll actually come up and say something about it, because I've got some pretty funny stickers. Like I consider myself hilarious at times,
yeah,
and I have a good sense of humor, and so I like putting things on there that I know would either brighten somebody else's day or just kind of make them giggle, and because it makes me giggle. So if I can do that for somebody else, I feel like I've accomplished something that day.
yeah, totally. Um, okay. So in our pre-talk, we decided
Yes,
I'm gonna to discuss what's going on with Google. Um, there's so much going on, so I'm going to get
so
into.
much.
We were in a pre-talk talking about Google when Google released yet another algorithm update. And for the average person, I know this doesn't matter, but I wanted to tell a little story about someone in a Facebook group to kind of help explain a little bit of the impact of what's happening. So there are lots of people, and I do mean lots of people, that make a living blogging. And some of these people have teams and people that work for them, and some of them are just new bloggers that are just starting to make a little bit of money. And this particular blogger that I read in a Facebook group, she's a recipe blogger, and she put this post, and it was so heartbreaking and relatable. And let me just say up front, I've lost 80% of my revenue in the last month. So,
That is so much. It's crazy. Like I
yeah.
can't.
So I can relate to this woman, but I just my empathy for her is so deep because she is a recipe blogger, and she said I've been crying all day. And by the way, I don't think that was an exaggeration. I believe her. And she said she'd been crying all day because she has been working so hard that she finally got her blog up to the point where she got on Mediavine, which is the big ad network, and it's really hard to get into this ad network. And she'd just gotten her traffic finally up to this point, and then the Google helpful content update, which was the September helpful content update from Google, September 2023, decimated her traffic. And she thought that she had done everything right. She had followed all the experts. She had done everything she was supposed to do. And now she is going to be able to not make any more money. And it's just so sad. And it was so heartbreaking. And I'm shortening the post. But
Yeah.
the thing is, Google is in such flux with this. It really starts with Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
because Microsoft Bing and what they did when they launched the AI search triggered Google to go into this crazy mode. And Google is the internet. If
Yeah.
you think about the internet, you're thinking about Google, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's
I
kind of
mean,
like
Google is a verb. Like nobody ever
exactly
says, I'm going to Bing that, but
right.
everybody says, I will Google that.
Right. Like, I mean, it's kind of like Twitter. I'm going to
You
tweet
tweet.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Even though it's called X, even Elon says tweet.
Yep.
He can't help himself. He's trying not to. He laughs
Yeah.
at himself over it, but
But
it's,
segue, by the way, what do you do now for X? Like I'm gonna X.
I'm going to X that.
I'm gonna X that. Like what is it?
I don't think we know. I don't think
Okay.
anybody knows. I mean, I don't know. I guess X, right?
It sounds stupid.
Yeah. So in let me get this right. August, Google released a core update, and then they released the September helpful content update, and then yesterday they released the spam brain core update. And while I was talking to Naja about all of these things, I got a giant notification that was like, what the hell? Because Google just launched the I guess I don't even know what it's called because literally we were in the middle of talking. Let me see what it's
Yeah.
called.
Well, I was
Um,
gonna say
October 2023 core update is what
yeah.
they're calling it.
So when Renee and I were having our pre-chat, we can see each other because we're on a
Yeah.
video chat or whatever. But like she legit just like her face just froze and she stopped talking and she was like, "Oh shit." And I was sitting there thinking, "Did the internet go out? Like what's happening here?" But I guess in a way, the internet did kind of glitch on you, right?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. So let's talk about this recipe blogger.
Yes, talk about the recipe blog. First of all, explain to people that may not know or understand what a recipe blog is.
Okay, so a recipe blog is exactly what it sounds like. It is a blog where someone creates recipes and they put their recipes on their blog. Okay, so that the primary purpose of this style of blog is to share recipes. She might share other things,
Sure.
such as how to reheat something or some kind of cooking tip, but her primary purpose is to create recipes and then put the recipe on her blog along with information. Honestly, this is actually the exact kind of a blog that people complain about the most. They're like, I just want the damn recipe, right?
Right.
Right. And they're like,
I
I just
I will admit I have said that exact phrase before. Like I just want the damn recipe.
well, let me tell you, life would be so much easier if all she ever had to do was give you the damn recipe. But
Yeah,
the
I
world
know.
doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way because why? Because Google said so, right?
Mhm.
And now Google's AI has gotten so smart that now Google's like, why can't you just give people the damn recipe? And that's where we're at. And so
Uh-huh.
the people that are just giving the damn recipe are suddenly the ones who are winning. When before you had to give your life story and then give the damn recipe,
Right.
right? And so all of this is changing so fast. And this woman had hundreds and hundreds, I think like 700 recipes on her site.
Oh my
And she was
gosh.
finally, after 700 recipes, finally was going to start making just a little bit of money. And now it's decimated for her. And the amount of investment that goes into creating a recipe blog is
Ah,
astronomical.
yeah.
The time investment, the skills. And now
Mhm.
she's being punished because she didn't do certain technical things properly, right? Because when you're a recipe blogger, it's not as easy as I thought of a recipe, I'm going to take some pictures and put it on the internet and it's going to work. No, you got to know how to host and
Mhm.
set up a blog. You have to
Mhm.
know all the technical skills, when to update WordPress, when not to update WordPress. Am I even going to use WordPress? What theme do I use? How much does that theme cost? How much
Right.
does my hosting cost? Hosting is very expensive. By the time you get to the point where you can actually have enough traffic to where you can put ads on, you're probably spending $300 or $400 a month just in hosting.
Yeah. Oh my
And then
gosh.
if you don't make the recipe when you sign up with an ad network, if your blog posts are not very long, so all that annoying intro that everybody complains about, they won't actually sign you up if you don't have enough words on the page. Because you have to make it long enough so that there's enough space to show ads so that everybody can actually make enough money. And
Mhm.
by the way, the people who originate those ads, generally speaking, is the Google Ad Network. So now Google's saying, hey, if you have too many ads on your page, we're not going to rank you because ads are annoying. They're your fucking ads.
Right? Like that
They're your
that makes
ads.
no sense. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's crazy. So, because she didn't do some technical things on her site properly is most likely the reason, but also these updates are called no rhyme no reason updates is what we're in the industry calling them, because we can't figure out why, like, let's say on one of my keywords that now I used to be in first place and now I'm maybe on the second page, we don't know why. And Google just says, well, probably enough of your content was not helpful enough. So therefore, we put an unhelpful tag on your website. So therefore, this Reddit post where you can Google a topic. I'm going to make this up because this is not going to be accurate. But for example, I'm going to keep it super simple. Let's say you're Googling how to cook a Denver steak, which is a style of cooking steak. I didn't know
I
that
was
before
about to
all
say,
this.
I was like, a Denver steak? Like a steak from Denver?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a style of cooking a steak.
Sure,
I'd never
sure.
heard of it. I'm in food the food blogging industry, and I'd never heard of this before.
Yeah.
But the thing that used to rank was recipe blogs that had Denver steak recipes. That
Okay.
seems logical.
Yeah, that
The
makes
thing
sense.
that was ranking before now, I have no idea now because we have yet another update. The thing that was ranking was a Reddit post that of people talking about how to cook a Denver steak, and they're all going, "I don't know how to do that. That's really, it sounds like an interesting thing, but I don't know how to do that. Do you guys know how to do that?" "No, I don't know how to cook one either. We should figure it out." Talking back and forth in a Reddit thread about how they don't know how to cook the damn steak.
But how is
And
that
yet that's first
helpful?
place. So how's that the most helpful thing, right?
Yeah.
So none of it makes any damn sense. So now this woman who has spent all this time, by the way, have you ever tried to be a food photographer? It's hard.
It is so hard. Like I take pictures of my food for the gram, and I gave up because every time I took a picture, I'm like, well, this doesn't look appetizing. I don't know the correct angle, or the lighting
The
in restaurants
lighting.
suck, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's like shadows everywhere, and it's like it just, you can't capture it. You can if you know what you're doing. But me, as your regular Joe Schmo with
That's right. Yeah.
a camera phone, like no.
Yeah, so to be a food photographer for a blog is a huge fucking deal. So this poor woman had to buy a camera, buy all of the setup, buy the lighting, buy the food that she's cooking, which by the way is inedible by the time you're done doing the photography on it, right?
Which is such a shame. It seems so wasteful,
I
It's like,
know, it's
I'm gonna
really
make
shameful and
a beautiful
embarrassing.
dish, and I'm gonna take pictures of it, but now I can't eat it because it took 3 hours to just take, a handful of pictures that could potentially be used.
Yeah, so she probably saved up hardcore just to buy a camera and then to buy the proper lens and to buy the studio setup because that shit is not normal, right? It's not stuff you have around your house. And then all of the lighting equipment and then learning, probably she probably took courses because nobody's born a photographer. You don't even know how to most people don't even know how to use the damn camera, right? You got to take a course to learn how to use the camera. Then you got to take a
Yeah, for
course
sure.
to learn how to use the lighting, and then you have to learn food styling, which we forgot. But all of that because you wanted to share a recipe, because maybe your first love was making up recipes,
Yeah.
right? So making up the recipe gets lost in all of this skill that you must have. And then if you got to learn how to edit the photos, and then you got to learn how to resize the photos. And then because you can't just upload a resized photo to your WordPress because the file size is too big, you got to
Mhm.
learn how to properly shrink the file size so that
Right?
you don't lose the quality, because if you don't have the right kind of quality, Google won't show it,
Yeah.
right? So all of that, and then on top of that, you have to become a writer so that you can write the content around it. But if you don't label your images properly and you don't put the right kind of ADA stuff on your images or on your
Oh,
text,
yeah,
then
the
you could get
ADA
sued.
stuff. Yep,
Right.
yep, yep.
So then you could get sued by the disability group, right? I can't think,
Yeah.
American Disability Act,
American
right?
Disability Act.
You could get sued. So, oh, okay, I got to be an expert in that too. And then Google does it. You do all of that. You figure all of that out and you do it over and over and over for hundreds and hundreds of recipes. But the first 5 or 10 or maybe even the first 100 were not all that good because you were still trying to figure out what to do.
Mhm.
But then suddenly Google comes out with this helpful content update, and maybe your last 100 are perfect and amazing. You did everything right. But maybe the first 300 were not done perfect and amazing, but because they weren't amazing and you didn't go back and make them amazing, now you get labeled with an unhelpful tag.
Oh
So
my
Google's
god.
decided they're no longer going to rank you until you fix all 300 of those.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And in the middle of all of that, you have people complaining that your posts are too long. Well, you want to know why they're too long? Because if you don't have enough relevant keywords in the article, then Google won't rank you.
Mhm.
So you can't make any money, because if you can't get Google to rank you, then you can't make any money. And you might say, well, there are other search engines. No, there's not.
No,
No,
there
there's not.
isn't.
I December of last year, I got 995,600 something like that page views in the month of December. 1% of that was Bing. And Bing
That's
is the second. Yeah,
insane.
and Bing is the second biggest search engine. So, no, Google's the only thing that matters. Google's the only
God.
game in town. DuckDuckGo, that's cute. It's so sweet. It's a
Oh.
sweet little search engine. I just think it's so adorable. No relevancy
No.
to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why Google is being sued by the United States government. But this woman got critiqued by an SEO expert in the food industry, and he is a good, solid expert, and he ripped her website apart because she asked for it.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that she's going to have to do that God only knows if she'll do it anymore. So now the only thing that's going to be left are things like Delish and Martha Stewart and all these big websites. My voice
Mm-hmm.
is going out.
Well, and not just that, but something that we were talking about too is the people that complain about the ads on a website, right? Like there
Mhm.
is a difference between getting a recipe for free versus having to pay for it. Like,
Yes, totally. Okay, yeah, I can talk about that.
yeah, go into that.
So, so if you are frustrated by ads, so are we all. They're
Oh, yeah.
annoying, right?
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to worry about money and revenue and we didn't have to pay for these tools and this
Mm-hmm.
hosting and this WordPress theme and our electric bill and all of it was just free? But that's not how the world works. Most likely, if you're listening to this, you're not independently wealthy and you have some form of a job, whether it is
Mm-hmm.
self employment or it is a corporate job. God bless you because you get health care. That's amazing.
Yes, that
A
is
W
amazing.
2, so sexy, so beautiful. But most likely,
That's how you can tell we're American.
yeah, exactly. Um, but we all have to make money. And the way that we make money as bloggers is by advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And advertising pays the bills. And each ad, by the way, on average, if you really think about it, is worth about each page view is about 2 pennies, right? So
That's
you're
it?
giving, yeah. So you're giving us by looking at our article and tolerating those ads with your eyeball, you are paying us about 2 pennies worth of value. And in exchange, you get a recipe for essentially free. The only cost to you was that you had to look at these ads. If you don't like that, I understand. But the next time you want to make cheesy mashed potatoes, please get up, get in your car, go to the closest bookstore, probably not very close because there's not a lot of them left, and
Yeah.
go and see how much that cookbook that includes those cheesy mashed potatoes is going to cost you. And if you're fortunate, you're going to find one for sale for $19.99, but it's probably going to be $24.99, possibly even $34.99. And therefore, you can get your cheesy mashed potatoes. And if you decided you want some fish to go with those mashed potatoes, you can either Google it, tolerate some ads, give us 2 of eyeballs, or you can get back in your car, go to the bookstore, buy another $35 book. Nothing is free, not even
Right.
online. Your eyeballs, your attention is the cost of
Mm-hmm.
having free information.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
And
pay,
and
you
and
can
I
pay for
think
gated.
yeah, you can absolutely pay for gated. And I think that it's a generational thing too, because a lot of the population nowadays, they were not raised where you had cable, like you had your regular over the air TV and then you had the
Yeah,
option to pay for
yeah,
cable, right? But like everything on air without DVRs, TiVo, whatever it may be. Like you could record it if you had a VCR with a timer and you knew how
and
to
you
set it
knew how to
up.
use it.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
knew how to use it. But everything that you watched, there were commercials. And there's a reason why, like for just me personally, like we have Hulu, we have Paramount and all that kind of stuff. We choose the tier that the lower tier, the cheaper tier with the
oh,
ads.
yeah,
Like
okay,
we will tolerate ads so we don't have to pay as much,
right. I
right?
I pay to get rid of ads.
Okay, so if it were only one platform that you were paying for, like with cable, you sign up for one cable provider and it gives
Right.
you all the channels, right? Yes, absolutely. We would pay the premium to not have ads. But because we are in such a consumer driven society nowadays, every single streaming platform has the option, well, maybe not every single, but most of them
Most of
have,
them, yeah.
yeah, they have the option to pay a little bit more so that you don't have to watch ads or whatever. But that adds up.
Yes, oh, trust me, it really does. It is a
Yeah.
big part of my budget.
So that's the reason why we're like, okay, well, we'll pay the lower, or we'll tolerate the ads so we don't have to pay as much. And then
Right.
that way we can use that money to get another streaming service. But we've basically gotten to the point now where it's like, I miss cable.
Yeah, I do wonder if 2024, 2025 will be the year that we all return to cable.
Mhm.
I wonder. I mean, I think I'm paying about maybe 150 a month, which is what I used to pay for cable, really
Yeah.
close to it.
Yep.
Um, for all of the streaming services. It really adds up now,
It
but
sure does.
yeah. But TV, you know how important TV is to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, like we pay for the New York Times, so we get the ungated version of that.
Mhm.
Um, you said you pay for, or you bought a book, which gave you access to
Yes.
America's Test Kitchen. For how
Yeah.
long?
So America's Test Kitchen, if you buy the physical cookbook, you can have access to their online
Yeah.
recipes. So you can have access to both, right? But yeah, I think it's only for like a year,
Okay,
because
that makes sense.
everything is
Yeah.
subscription based, right? And that's
Right.
the other
Yeah.
thing. I fucking hate subscription. If you make me pay for something monthly, I'm going to be pissed. Give me the opportunity to either pay for it all up front and just like
Hmm.
be done with it,
Yeah.
or at least give me the opportunity to pay for it once a year, because like all of these monthly payments are a pain in my ass and they're driving me insane.
Right. And I think people don't, and I think it's genuine that people don't understand why the ads are there. They
Yeah.
don't understand what it's doing, what the
Right.
purpose. They don't understand how
Well,
much it.
YouTube, everybody talks about how, oh, well, you can just find things on YouTube for free. Well, is it really free? Because when you watch a video on YouTube, you're served an ad before the thing even plays, right?
Yeah,
Unless you have signed up for YouTube Premium and
which I have.
paid the money to say, nope, I don't want those ads.
Well, then, see, I paid for YouTube Premium, and it is one of the best investments I have ever made because I use YouTube nonstop for research.
Uh-huh.
But um, there's also all of the sponsorships in the middle
Yep.
of the YouTube videos now.
Which is different.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, you're still hearing it.
Yeah.
You're still seeing sponsors.
Yes.
Um, which is a whole, you're right, that's a whole other conversation. But the thing with the ads are why you get content for free.
Yep.
If there were no ads, there would be no internet because
Yeah.
somebody has to pay for this stuff.
Yep.
People have to make a living. It takes if you were to watch one of those, you know, those Facebook short videos or whatever of somebody making a recipe and the video is like 30 seconds long,
Mm-hmm.
it probably took, best case scenario, 3 hours to make that.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's
Yeah.
somebody's time, right?
Yeah.
And so when you see an ad associated to a recipe, you are viewing that ad in exchange for the, probably, by the time the blog post is written, the photography is edited, everything is done, the man hours spent to make a single simple recipe is probably 8 man hours.
Mm-hmm.
So you are looking at an ad in exchange for 8 man hours. I think you can live with that. And if you
Yep.
can't, I totally respect it. Pay.
Right.
Pay for every recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no complaint. If somebody doesn't want to see an ad and they're willing to buy all of the cookbooks, God bless you, because those cookbooks are really going to be helpful. But honestly, people aren't going to make as much money in the long run from the cookbooks as they're
Mm-hmm.
going to make from the advertising.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyway, I say all that because this poor woman who created this amazing recipe blog is now going to have to essentially start over. And I don't know if she can afford it. I
Yeah.
don't know if she will. I mean, who knows? And if enough of us, which I know how bad the industry is hurting, the bloggers, these solo bloggers that have been doing this by themselves, who were making enough money so that maybe they could be a stay at home mom,
Mm-hmm.
those days may be over now.
And
because
let's clarify the definition of a blogger too, because I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't in the space who they hear bloggers and they think, oh, like you're journaling online, right? That is not a blogger. Like
no.
it is content creation.
Yeah, it's
Content creation is blogging.
that's correct. It is content creation, and content creation means that you may take photography, you
Yep.
may make videos, you
Mhm.
may make podcasts like we're
Mhm.
doing, you may write words on a article,
Yep.
you may put content on Facebook. There are people that make a full-time living tweeting
Yeah.
or Xing or whatever the fuck it's called, right? Um, but there are people that spend their days curating and writing up the perfect content for X, and that's how they make their living. All of this has dollars behind it, and all
Mhm.
of those dollars are supported by advertising.
Yeah.
It's the same way TV was, back in the day when Jennifer Aniston said all of us are going to get paid $1 million an episode for Friends.
Yep.
That was a revolutionary moment, and it wasn't like the people at NBC were just out of the kindness of their hearts paying them $1 million because they thought, yeah, you're awesome, you deserve $1 million. It's because they could demand enough money for those ads that went in between each
Yep.
scene, um, to support paying those people that much money, right?
Exactly. And we're not and it's not just TV, like radio. So I know a lot of
Oh,
people
sure.
have yeah, a lot of people have either satellite radio in their
Right.
cars or they listen to, their Apple Play, Google Play, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
may be. So
Mm-hmm.
they stream things, right? But think about what think about that too. So over the air radio, the free radio, there's commercials between every song. And then
That's right.
the DJs,
DJ.
they
Yeah.
yeah, they will speak advertisements similar to how podcasters do it. Like maybe they don't play an ad that's from the actual manufacturer, but they will read it. But part of that too is because they are paying for the familiarity of
Yes.
of the voice of that DJ, because people know, like, and trust that voice, right? So
Right.
once again, it all goes back to advertising. Like everything goes back to advertising.
Absolutely. And I know that advertising's annoying. And the main reason it's annoying is it's getting between you and what you want to consume,
Yes.
right? And I understand that. But there's not been anything better developed yet to get rid of advertising, as
Mhm.
best as I can tell. I mean, we have things like Patreon, we have Kickstarters, we have Target. You can go to the store and buy something, but um, advertising is how we get things without having to pay directly. We pay with our attention. There is nothing free, right? Um, Especially when it comes to consumerism. And we are a consumer driven economy. So all of that starts with advertising and then leads to how you spend your money. You don't have to be influenced by the advertising, you just have to tolerate it.
Right, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So anyway, I say all that to say because I feel really sad for people, including myself, but I've kind of disassociated at this point for myself.
Yeah.
But I feel sad for people. We're losing a lot in the industry, and this is not a bunch of rich people losing things. This is like people losing their jobs because this is
Mhm.
more people that blog full time spend more time on their blogging than if they had a full time job.
Right.
Nobody just works an 8-hour day or a 40-hour week if you're a blogger. If you're a
Yeah.
content creator, you're working 60 hours a week easy. So there's a lot of passion that goes into this. And these updates are Google trying to survive themselves because they
Yeah.
have so much going on. And I do think it's going to be interesting, though, going back to the update. This October core update, I don't know anything about it because it literally launched out of the blue from nowhere.
Like an
Um,
hour ago.
yeah, while we were talking. And so I don't know what it's about, but I have some speculations that they are going to correct some things that have happened in the last 30 days because I think that they've made some serious mistakes. I have a conspiracy theory, by the way. Um,
Tell me, I love conspiracy
yes,
theories, like,
yes,
especially if they make me roll my eyes.
right. Okay, so I think that perhaps AI has taken over the Google algorithm, and even Google doesn't know what to do about it.
Okay, okay, okay. I don't think it's just Google. Have you I don't know if you're affected by this, but like so I work with service providers, right? And a lot of them have an online presence on Facebook. And some of them have membership sites or membership communities, different
Right,
links and things
right.
like that. So over the past I guess it's been a couple of weeks now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, there have been a there's been a flurry in the digital marketing space where people are getting notifications from Facebook. This is just on the Facebook platform.
Okay,
They're receiving notifications that their post, comment, things that they have shared are being deleted by Facebook. They
okay.
can't see what it is. They just get a notification saying Facebook has deleted this, this, and this. There are some content creators, once again, content creators,
Yeah.
who are getting hundreds of messages saying that things are being deleted from Facebook groups because it violated the
I got one of those
Facebook's.
yesterday, and I haven't had
Okay.
time to look at it yet, and I'm like,
So
"What is happening?"
so Facebook has released they've released a new, I don't know, it's some sort of like filter or whatever. It is AI driven, but
Ah,
it seems like it is targeting anything that's like an external link that that makes you sign into something. So if you have a membership group outside of Facebook and you have
yeah,
to sign into it, and let's say you have a Facebook group for your members where
right.
you remind them like, hey, there's a replay of the most recent call available inside of the membership portal, click it, like check it out here, and then you post the link. If that link goes to a site tells tells you to log in, for some reason Facebook thinks that that is violating their terms of services. So there's a bunch of people who have like Thinkific sites, Member Vault, Kajabi.
Okay, okay, okay. So hold on. I have to say something. Facebook's goal is to keep users on Facebook as
Yes.
much as possible, right? We
Yes.
know that. We
Yep.
know that to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And so this isn't some like that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just a fact, right?
Yes. Yes.
So we also know that I'm sorry. So Google brained here. That Facebook just released their AI, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And so most likely their AI was trained that the goal is to keep people on Facebook. So what you're saying makes total sense from an AI perspective. If the AI is conflicting with what's supposed to happen, the AI is driving the story and the AI knows that the goal is to keep people on Facebook, well then what you're saying makes total sense. Wouldn't you do that if you were an AI?
Well, sure, but what specifically in terms of services is it violating? Because it's not hate crime, or it's not hate speech, it's not
Well, it's kind of hateful
bullying.
towards Facebook.
It's
If the
hateful, yeah.
I mean, if your goal is to keep people on Facebook, then the AI could misconstrue that you're trying to be harmful to Facebook.
Right, but isn't that crazy that that's
Yeah,
something that's
it's
happening,
crazy.
and it doesn't matter how much people report it to Facebook. Facebook representatives, they have no answers. Like they can't tell you why your content was removed. And we're not even talking about recent content. Like we've seen reports of people getting content removed from like 3 years ago. Something that they posted 3 years ago, now they're getting notifications saying that that content was removed because it was violating the terms of services.
Well, okay, so let's go back to the Google thing for just a second because I think it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
With the Google Helpful Content Update, Google now it's all AI driven now, okay?
Mhm.
Because people trained the AI in theory. So now
In
the
theory.
AI, right? So the AI reads your website. It reads a few pages because it doesn't read the whole thing at once.
Mhm.
It reads a few pages. It decides that page was unhelpful. Going back to that woman, right? Maybe her first 5 blog posts were not as good as her last 600 blog posts. So therefore, it read her first 5,
As not
said
helpful.
this is not helpful. So now she has a site-wide unhelpful tag.
Oh my gosh.
But I am convinced that the reason that Google won't tell us if it has an unhelpful tag, and if it does have an unhelpful tag, won't tell us which pages were considered unhelpful so that we can correct them, is because I'm not convinced that they know.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they won't tell us these things because I don't think they know either.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
what it sounds like.
yeah. And
So I get the whole conspiracy theory of like this is Skynet, like AI is becoming self-aware and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But if you think about it, like isn't that what AI is? AI is supposed to be self-aware according to rules and parameters that you set for it. People are the same way. Like we have social constructs that we press onto children
Right.
and they grow up thinking this is the way it is.
Right. Right.
So AI, you are teaching AI something. It is going along using the guardrails that you've given it, and it is thinking this is the way it is. So
Yes.
losing control of it, I can see how easy it is to lose control of it because now you're trying to figure out, okay, what rule did I put in there that is making it take it too literally or take it like to the extreme or whatever. It you could apply the same thing to a person. Like, okay, somebody who murdered a pedophile, right?
Yeah.
It's still murder.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But in their head, it's like, yeah, but it's murder for the greater good of society. And it's like, I can see where you've gone for
Yeah.
that, but it's still murder.
Right.
So
Well, and have you ever done set up email filters for your email inbox?
yes. Oh my gosh. I set up so many email filters.
Right. So when you set up your first one, it's clear. You know
Oh, yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what's
yeah.
happening, right?
Mhm, mhm,
But then as time progresses and you set up another one, and then maybe you set up another one,
mhm,
and then you set up an email forward, perhaps,
mhm,
you
mhm.
know,
Yep,
and
yep.
suddenly you're like, what the hell is happening here?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because rules may be conflicting, they
yep.
may be building upon each other. And I just wonder if we're getting to the point with these platforms and how they are trying to enhance and work on their algorithms, and they're trying to use the same tools that we're trying to use, which is the AI tools, which is really
Mhm.
large language models. AI is not necessarily the best word for most of this,
Right, right.
but as they are trying to utilize these things for their own business models and we're trying to use them for our business models, at some point, how many layers deep is it that we don't know how to unravel it?
Yeah. Well, I have a perfect example of the email filter rule because I have a problem with one of my filters, which I have tried to fix multiple times. And because I have so many rules set up in my inbox, like I can't, it's not that I can't. I just don't have the motivation to sit down and dedicate, the time to troubleshoot and figure out
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
yeah,
But like I have apparently set up some sort of filter where PayPal invoices, I don't get them. Like they don't hit my inbox. They are archived. Like they are marked unread and then they just never show up in my inbox. But they're there. Like they're in my all mail.
mhm,
So it's in there, but I have to go search for it. So for some reason I have some sort of filter set up where I tried to get PayPal like newsletters or broadcasts or whatever. I wanted them to go into my newsletter folder so
right,
that I can make the decision to go into that folder and search for, oh, yeah, let me open up this email because it seems interesting or whatever. But there's some sort of rule that's conflicting. I don't know if it's a like an address, an email address, or certain words, keywords. Like if it has this keyword from this email address, then it goes here or whatever. But yeah, it's archived, it is marked as read, and then it never hits my inbox. So if I receive an invoice from contractors, I don't see it. They all know to like forward it to me. So if they're sending it from PayPal, if they're sending me an invoice from PayPal, they
Yeah.
now know I need to forward that to her because I know that it hasn't hit her inbox. And then because it's coming from them, I see that.
Yeah. I have some kind of similar problem, but with my calendar.
Oh yeah.
So I can't figure out my calendar to make it actually useful. And I've tried different calendar tools. Like I know that we have a call on, what time our
Uh-huh.
podcast is every week. But if I didn't know, and if I forget, not going to see me. Um I can't figure it out. I can't solve it. I just
Interesting.
yeah, can't I've tried different tools. I've tried bankruptcy. It just it's just it's useless to me.
Oh my goodness.
Also, I have a really hard time getting any emails from Andy.
Really?
Yeah, don't know why. I've tried different email tools. I've tried removing. I just don't see them. She has to find me and tell me things because
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So I don't know, man. It's all gotten so crazy, and that's just us. And what you're saying
Yeah.
with PayPal, one thing, and with me, it's two things. But imagine if you're creating an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Google has ever run multiple algorithms updates at the same time before, but that's where we're at. I've never
Yeah.
seen anything like that.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of I mean it's an older movie, I Robot with Will Smith.
Oh, I think about that a lot through all this.
Okay, yeah. So I really think that that is relevant to today's not just today's conversation, but just to today's times, right? Because in that movie, the robots only had 3 rules.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Only 3, right? But somehow it was able to circumvent one of them because of a technicality. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
and that's just 3 rules, 3 seemingly simple but very clear rules.
Right.
So like you said, if they're building AI or learning language models with multiple rules, yeah, how many of them do conflict with each other to where now it's like a not a back door, but it's like going back to my person that commits murder, but they murdered a pedophile. So technically, it's like, well, you really did do a solid for society, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you still killed someone.
Just
So
because you agree with it doesn't make it right.
exactly. So like, at which point are they actually wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Um Trying to get back to roll all of that back to I
The
mean,
updates.
and maybe it's the most basic rule that we should always remember is two wrongs don't make a right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't know what the hell. I don't know anything about this because I've literally been on the call. So all I know is that they're running a second algorithm update, and I am going to look because I'm curious to know if they've ever run two algorithm updates at the same time. It's possible they haven't. I just don't know it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the impact. The other interesting thing is, and I knew this was coming, but I have had Universal Analytics all the way every day until today. So today, my Universal Analytics was killed, and now I only have GA4, and I'm
Mm.
so sad. But it's just interesting that they killed that today and then run the algo update. So I wonder if everybody got killed today or if it was just random. I don't know.
Well, I don't know because we had transitioned already from Universal Analytics to GA4
Hmm.
for all of our clients. So we've already
Yeah.
transitioned all of them. Um, but I haven't checked to see
Yeah.
if it's like just
I
gone.
I had already transitioned too a long time ago, but I could still see the Universal Analytics. And so of course, every day of my life I was just only looking at Universal cuz GA4 is horrible and I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, here we are.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's awful. I don't understand why they did this, but
I don't know.
I wish I knew. I really wish. And now I've got to learn it because it's all I have. So,
Yeah, and if only they were more clear about it, like, I mean, I don't know how they could be more clear about it too. So, other than just sharing like all of their proprietary, build outs and stuff like that, but that's not going to happen.
no, it's not going to happen. And I don't think it's possible. I honestly, and I'm not saying I honestly believe the AI is taking over, but I honestly believe that there's not a single person that 100% understands the Google algorithm.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't,
no, no, no.
yeah.
There's no way.
So, um, there we're learning things
Yeah,
because of the lawsuit every day, but I don't think there's a single person that fully understands why or how things work.
yeah.
It's just too big. So, I don't know.
Ugh.
Well, on that note, I should probably go and figure out what the hell's going on.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. And I mean, I'm curious to hear other people's opinions on this. Like, is this something that you guys are also worried about? Or is this something that is just like so outside of your radar that this is the first time you've heard of this? But I know that AI is a hot topic
Mhm.
because a lot of people are just trying to figure out how to utilize it. Like a lot of our healthcare clients, they're trying to figure out how can we utilize AI to our benefit, but also how can we avoid the HIPAA compliance issues?
Yeah.
Because for hospitals, like big major hospitals, like for example, St. Luke's recently here in the Houston Medical Center, there was some sort of like breach and they had to pay a fine or whatever. So for a big hospital group like St. Luke's, sure, that's annoying that they had to pay a fine, but it's fine. Like they can afford to do it. But for private practice facilities, if they're hit with $1 million fine or even a $500,000 fine, like that is crippling to a
Oh,
private practice.
absolutely. Yeah.
And they could plead ignorance, but HIPAA violations don't care about ignorance.
Right. No, that's not relevant.
Yeah.
So,
So it's just well, even if you didn't know about it, you should have had something in place where you just avoided that completely.
well, and ignorance is not an excuse for breaking the law.
No, no.
Just because you don't know about a law doesn't mean that you can't be held accountable to breaking it.
Right. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
why it's so important to be, up to date with these advances in technology, especially because it's happening so quickly. Like what you just said, Google released these multiple updates within what, like a week or two of each other. And so it's
Yeah.
become a full time job for people to just stay up to date with that. So that's just the Google changes. But what about, in the healthcare industry, HIPAA changes,
Yeah.
HIPAA law changes. Like how do you stay up to date with every nuance change? Because sometimes it's not a huge thing. It's just like one tweak in phrasing
Right. Right.
changes the entire meaning of something. So you have to stay apprised of that. And it is so difficult in this landscape with how quickly things change. It's really difficult to stay on top of all of that kind of stuff.
Well, you're absolutely right. And it's funny you bring up a nuance, which brings me to something completely different. But um, I'm updating one of our articles, celery substitutes, and
Oh,
the
there are
the
celery substitutes?
there's substitutes for everything. But
Okay.
yeah, but um, there is a nuanced change in people behavior with this article. People
Okay.
are now it's such a strange thing, but they're typing in substitutes for celery more often than they're typing in celery substitutes. That is very nuanced, but matters,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so everything matters. Everything is nuanced, but the nuance can make the difference between anything.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
nuance changes are sometimes more difficult to figure out
More difficult.
than, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep. Well, I think that's a great spot to end on. And like I said, if you you guys know how to reach us. I mean, a lot of our listeners are people that we know, although
That's right.
we've had a couple that I was like, I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is so exciting. Thank you
I
for joining
know.
us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts on all of this.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to put the contact information in the show notes. So if you did
Yes.
want to reach out to us, send us an email or whatever. We would love to hear your thoughts, and of course, we will put in our 2 cents with whatever it is
Yes.
you say.
100%. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.